the demo we're running right now is this book right now. The
Okay.
first 12 pages, first 12 chapters are spells. We're doing a spell exchange. So you can cast a spell and then leave a spell for the next person.
Okay.
Do you want to try that?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Should I hand this back to you?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay. So the first thing we should do is we'll set you up with a scenario.
Okay.
So the evil wizards that have stolen all the magic from the world, you're here in Pax. They're after you here at Pax, and they've sent a brainwashing spell over the masses of Pax.
Gotcha.
Everyone is after you. So you can use any of the first 12 spells in this book to get out of that.
Okay. So we'll look at the chapter
content.
content.
Chapter title. So 1 through 12 are your options.
Okay.
And then
I think we're definitely doing just one I can pick.
Yes. We'll
Oh.
just do one for now.
We'll just do a terrible secret.
A terrible secret. All right. Perfect. So you need to choose a piece of knowledge.
A piece of knowledge. Anything in my
Anything
brain?
that is known.
Anything that is known.
By not necessarily by you, but by anyone.
How to Google up tech support.
Everyone in the world but you has forgotten that knowledge entirely.
Well, that's just too real.
Is it too really working IT?
Yeah, but that's okay. We like it. Okay,
There you
it's I'm hitting some trauma, but we're good. Okay, let's go. So
yeah, that's kind of how spell resolution works. So in this case, it wasn't very helpful for you. It was probably pretty funny, and maybe the entire convention center starts falling apart because there's
nobody can Google anything.
Google anything anymore. They don't
Gotcha.
know how to fix their own problems.
That's about
maybe
right.
they'll come to you for help actually. And then
No,
you
that
won't be
again
out
is
there.
it's too traumatic. It's going
But
down.
don't do that.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, that's how casting a spell works. That's basically the core of the game.
Okay.
So we're launching this as part of Zine Quest in February.
In February. Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. That'll be great.
So, yeah, it's going to look a little something like this right here. This is just a PDF of it, but yeah, I haven't finished doing
What tablet is that?
It's called the Remarkable. It's like
Is that the color one?
Yeah, it's the color one.
Let me see this because I want one of these desperately.
I think it's very nice. I use it for RPG stuff all the time.
Well, the only thing I don't like is that I can't take snippets of a PDF and put it into my
I
own
don't
thing.
like either.
'Cause I can
would
do
love
that
to
on my
take
iPad.
screenshots and move them around.
Yes,
But, yeah,
but no, I would. That's what I want it for is RPG stuff.
Yeah, I mostly use it for writing or drawing, but I don't use it so much for reading PDFs.
I may ask to touch this.
Yeah, go for it.
So I just have to.
Yeah, I think it's
Swipe.
swipes the
That's
page turning. Yeah.
beautiful, and the color is nice. Okay, let's get back to you. So
That's fine. I know it's a crazy piece of tech.
I love it. So cool. And so you're launching for a Zine Quest in February.
Yep, that's
Coming
right.
out. What are you guys going to be charging it for? And you just selling on Drive-Thru RPG or?
Yeah, I'm planning on selling on Itch and Drive-Thru as PDFs also.
Okay.
But it's going to launch as a zine for like $20. It's probably going to be like 60 to 80.
Oh, that's so cool. Now, when you cast a spell, how do you resolve it then?
So spellcasting is basically resolved as, like I said, it's a discussion between you and me. It's actually the one time in the game you don't roll because it tends to be pretty strictly defined.
Okay.
So in that case, like that, what you just cast was kind of like a lingering effect, so it probably won't come up until later. But later in the game, when you're acting, you roll pools of dice.
Okay.
And anytime you think a spell is relevant, you can always add a die to the pool from that spell effect.
Okay.
So
you were trying to do something that no one knowing how to Google would give you an advantage at doing that, you could add a die to your pool. So I'm trying to think of an example.
Well,
if you were trying to persuade people that you were the president and they couldn't Google to prove you otherwise, maybe you could roll an extra die because your spell effect is
Because I'm the
improving your
only
odds
one
of
who knows
succeeding.
how to look that up.
Right.
yes, you're the only one that knows how to look that up.
Okay, that's insane, and I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How long does it take to play a game?
So it's meant to be played in a one-shot, so it's probably like 2 to 3 hours is a good starting point.
That's awesome.
You can play it in a little longer depending on how many spells you write, but then it takes longer in the beginning. So,
Very cool.
yeah.
I like this very much. Thank you for your time, man. So you're here, Duel. We'll talk about this side first.
No worries.
So we're talking about Soul Muppet Publishing, and you have a new game that you're kind of showing or demoing
Yeah.
up, which is called
Mad as hell.
Mad. Let me get the glare. darn glossy paper. Mad as
I
hell.
know.
And what is Mad as hell?
So, Mad as Hell is an anti-capitalist demon hunting game where the only way to defeat the demons is to deal with the problem that has spawned them. You might have a creature that has come from old lead piping. And yeah, sure, you could go up, beat this demon up, but it's just going to keep coming back. So, best way to deal with it, fix the piping. Tell the landlord to replace it. Do it yourself. It is part RPG, part leftist guide to revolution.
What do the mechanics work in this?
It is a really super simple system. It's created by Evie Moriarty, who is an amazing designer. The best way for you to do it is to actually just come and check it out. We're going to have a free version coming out really, really soon.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
No worries.
And then we'll talk about the other side, because
For
this
sure.
is really, really cool.
Thank you so much.
When the walls fall, which first off,
I'll come over this side.
that's beautiful.
Thank you. I did all the layout and design myself.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah, I had a hyper focus one evening and created the whole thing.
I know that feeling.
Oh, yeah.
All right, how does this work?
So this is a dice stacking game where you are creating a long lost city. So you start off by rolling some dice. Very simply, let's roll this D20 here. Is that a 9?
That's a 9.
Perfect. So the founding ideal of this city you would check here is tradition. In the center is a venerable mansion. You then place that in the
Put
center.
that there.
You then continue on. So you might start with your next is your D12.
Yep.
2. So the dark secret of this city, the city forms the core of an unspeakable ritual.
That sounds charming.
Yeah, it's a great place to go, I'm sure.
I will not successfully build this tower.
That's
by the
okay.
way.
That's part of the game. Here is 2D10. This is the source of the prosperity of this city.
9 and 6.
9 and 6. So it was entrusted with death itself.
Well,
So
that
this city
seems
has
impressive.
power of death itself, and we place those dice on there.
Oh, done.
Immediately the city has fallen. So this city didn't live very long. We didn't even find out a couple of its features. But what remains behind is a stubborn hermit and some bitter survivors, roaming bandits and lost souls. I mean, it kind of sounds
so
like
if it
fitting.
falls on the line, it's
You
both
can do
those
both
things.
of them.
Oh, I
Exactly.
love
Or you
that.
could pick one if you want to.
Okay.
But I mean, for a city that had control of death itself, leaving behind some lost souls, I
Sounds
think
about
that's
right.
pretty good. You then total up the dice that are here. So we do 11 plus 3 plus 8. Anyone good at quick maths?
11, 8 is 19 and 3 is 22.
22. So then we move these out of the way. We close this to represent the city falling. We check for 22. There was a failed revolution. I mean, I feel like
Sounds about right.
death came to claim these souls, right? But yeah, it's a really, really simple game. It's available on my itch, which is molamute.itch.io. There's a print-friendly version there as well.
That would be awesome.
No worries.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
and
much.
people are going to use this for like solo play or...
Yeah, so the way I use it is when I'm kind of creating a world for my players to visit. I kind of just go ahead and just roll some dice, see what's happening. Sometimes it's just, I like to do it because I'm bored. Is that, we can just play games because they're fun and they inspire us to create
Absolutely.
something.
Well, thank you so
No
much.
worries.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you
So
very
I'm looking
much.
looked at your business card.
Yeah.
This is Blades in the Dark meets D&D.
Yeah, exactly. It's high fantasy, Blades in the Dark. So think of Dungeon World and D&D 3.5, but also 5th edition. So if you are a fan of those kinds of high fantasy, here is the hack for you.
Gotcha. Okay. What's the setup of the game? So how's it work for folks who don't understand how Forge in the Dark?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So you're all part of a guild, and you go on adventures, right? They can be, most of the time, you come back to your base and you go out to the next one, right? But you can go wandering about. And so one of the interesting things is you have beliefs about each other. Those beliefs should inform you how you role play with each other. And also they have mechanical and XP triggers.
Right.
So it behooves you to actually role play with each other, which I find is fantastic.
Okay.
You're
not just running around killing.
Exactly. You're killing and you're also role playing and a whole bunch of other things. So for these kinds of games, there's a pool of dice you use that are D6s. And so the pips indicate how many dice you roll. And there's ways of getting more dice. Some of them are actually related to those bonds and beliefs I mentioned. And so on a 6+, you do it. On 4 to 5, there's a complication. 1 to 3, you don't do it, kind of deal, right?
Yep.
And so when things go wrong, you may take harm. You can also resist that harm, which is really cool for these kinds of games.
Okay.
And you role play with it, looks like, and then roll some dice. And then one of the kind of claims to fame for my game is I changed how the inventory system works compared to other kinds of games of this like. so you actually have starting with 6 inventory slots, and you actually track your treasure and your gear. And so there's a little mini game going on there, and you also how much gear you produce. You don't produce the items you need until the exact moment you need it, which is unique to these kinds of games.
Right. It kind of runs in like a flashback technique.
Kinda, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so, so you have that balance and that little going on. Casters compared to other these kinds of games, high fantasy, Fortune Dark games, casters actually keep track of their spells in the inventory system, so that balances between martial and caster. So caster is using their inventory for spells, and martials would have more opportunity to use magical items produced. And we all have treasure golems inside of ourselves.
Okay.
And so right now I have an example of 108 treasures.
Okay.
Some are mundane, some are off the wall, but they're a really good time. And I really wanted to get across. You still have that D&D high fantasy-esque experience.
Okay.
But there's a whole bunch more role playing involved.
Awesome. How long have you been working on it for?
On and off for about 5 years. Pretty much, I used to run a podcast network, and I used to run Blades in the Dark for a season. And one of the players wanted to cast magic, so I made a subsystem of how you cast magic.
Okay.
A precursor to this. Then things happened with all of our lives, but then I picked it up about 2 years afterwards, and so I've been slowly working on it. I just released 0.4 rules.
Okay.
You can get them for free at Forge in the Dark or ForgeInTheDungeon.com. It's the complete game as it is right now, but it is now rules complete.
Gotcha.
So if you want to run a whole campaign, you can go crazy.
You can do that.
But I will be changing some of the stuff because I've already play tested. But there is a version now just to go wild on.
Cool. And I know that the true answer is whenever it's done. But when are you hoping to kind of bring this to market?
I'm getting pressure from my peers to have something to pitch to publishers. So at Gen Con this coming year.
Okay.
And then hopefully I'll have a Kickstarter the 2025 or 2026.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your
problem.
time. This looks really cool.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Thanks.